I knew something was off the moment I heard my mother's hushed voice through the kitchen door. "We need April here now. It's the only way this will work." My father's muffled response made my stomach twist. "She'll never agree if she knows the truth." I should have trusted my instincts right then, but when you're raised to believe family comes first, red flags just look like flags. My name is April, and this is how I learned the hard way that blood isn't always thicker than water. "April, sweetheart." My mother's voice shifted to sugary sweet as I pushed through the door. She quickly ended her phone call, sliding her cell into her pocket. "We didn't hear you come in." "Sorry I'm early for dinner," I said, watching their faces carefully. The meeting at work finished sooner than expected. My father busied himself with the dishes, avoiding eye contact. "Well, you're just in time. We need to discuss something important." Mom gestured to the kitchen table, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against the wood. "Sit down, dear. This is about Guillermo." My brother's name got my full attention. "Is he okay?" "He's being deployed again," Mom said, retching for my hand. 6 months, maybe longer. "What about Sawyer and August?" I asked, thinking of my niece and nephew. That's exactly what we need to discuss. Dad finally turned around, leaning against the counter. The kids need someone to stay with them in Guillermo's house. Their mother's not in the picture, and we're too old to handle 2 young children full-time. I felt the trap closing in before they even sprung it. "We need you, April." Mom squeezed my hand. "The kids need you. Guillermo needs you." "I have a job," I protested. "A life. My apartment." "You can work remotely," Dad cut in. "Most companies are flexible these days, and you've always said you wanted to spend more time with the kids." "When does he deploy?" 2 weeks. Mom answered too quickly. I pulled my hand away. 2 weeks? And he's just telling us now? "You know your brother." Dad shrugged. "Never wants to worry anyone." Something didn't add up. Guillermo always planned everything meticulously, especially when it came to his kids. He would have had arrangements in place months ago. "Let me call him." I reached for my phone. "He's in pre-deployment training," Mom interrupted. "Very limited contact, but he agreed this would be best for everyone." I looked between them, searching for signs of deception. "You're sure he's okay with this?" "Of course!" Mom's voice rose slightly. "Why wouldn't he be?" The next hour was a blur of guilt trips and emotional manipulation. They had answers for everything: my job concerns, my lease, my social life. By dessert, I felt cornered into agreeing. "I'll need to give notice at work," I said, pushing away my untouched pie. "We'll help you move this weekend," Dad said, already pulling out his phone to make arrangements. That night, I called my best friend Shia. "Something feels wrong." I paced my apartment. "They were too prepared, too pushy. Then don't do it," Zia said simply. "But what if Guillermo really needs me? Those kids—" I stopped pacing. "I can't let them down." "Your parents are master manipulators," Thea reminded me. "Remember the Christmas incident?" I did. They'd orchestrated a family crisis to prevent me from taking a job in Seattle 3 years ago. "Just be careful," Thea advised. "Document everything." 2 weeks later, I stood in Guillermo's living room, surrounded by boxes and 2 excited kids. Sawyer, 7 and precocious, hadn't stopped chattering since I arrived. 5-year-old August clung to my leg like a koala. "Daddy said you're staying forever," Sawyer announced, helping me unpack kitchen boxes. Not forever, sweetie. Just until your dad comes home. Grandma said forever, August mumbled into my knee. I froze, a coffee mug suspended halfway to the cabinet. Grandma said that? Uh-huh. She told the man with the clipboard you're staying forever so they can sell the house. The mug slipped from my fingers, shattering on the floor. As I cleaned up the pieces, my mother's whispered words from 2 weeks ago echoed in my head. It's the only way this will work. What exactly had I gotten myself into? Don't worry about the mess. Mom appeared in the doorway, making me jump. I'll clean it up. You focus on getting settled in. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. After all, we want everything to be perfect, don't we? Perfect for what? I wanted to ask. Instead, I nodded and hugged the kids closer. Whatever game my parents were playing, they'd chosen the wrong pawn. 3 weeks into my new role as substitute mom, I'd developed a routine. Drop Sawyer at school, take August to preschool, work remotely from Guillermo's home office, then tackle the mountain of tasks that came with caring for 2 kids. It would have been manageable if not for my parents' constant hovering. The realtor's coming by today, Mom announced, letting herself in without knocking. Again. I looked up from my laptop. What, realtor? Oh, just for an assessment. She waved dismissively. Insurance purposes? Shouldn't we wait for Guillermo to handle that? Your brother gave us power of attorney before he left. Dad appeared behind her. Standard procedure for deployment. I'd worked in legal services long enough to know that wasn't standard at all. I'll need the office cleared out by 2. Mom started opening drawers. And maybe the kids could stay at our house tonight? They have school tomorrow. I closed my laptop, and I promised Sawyer we'd video call her class pet's new babies. The hamsters? Mom wrinkled her nose. Surely that can wait. No, it can't. I stood my ground. The kids need routine right now. After they left, I searched Guillermo's office. The drawer Mom had been rifling through contained property documents, but something was missing. I remembered seeing a blue folder here last week. My phone buzzed. A text from Thea. Coffee, I'm in your neighborhood. 20 minutes later, we sat in a quiet corner of the local cafe. They're up to something, I whispered, stirring my latte. Yesterday, I overheard Mom on the phone talking about market value and quick sale. Have you heard from Guillermo? Thea asked. No, and that's weird too. He always finds a way to contact the kids even during training. A familiar voice carried across the cafe. The property is perfect for development. Once we clear the title... I grabbed Thea's arm. 2 tables over sat a man in a suit. The realtor, I assumed, talking to someone on his phone. Yes, Mrs. Morgan assured me the current occupants are temporary. We can close within 60 days. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. Did he just say Morgan? Thea whispered. Your mom's maiden name? That night, after tucking the kids in, I searched Guillermo's email. His password had always been predictable. The kids' birthdays combined. The most recent emails were from 3 months ago. Hey, big brother, I typed. If you get this, please contact me. Something's not right. Auntie April? Sawyer's voice made me jump. She stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed giraffe. I had a bad dream. I closed the laptop. Come here, sweetie. She crawled into my lap. When is Daddy coming home? Soon, I lied, hugging her tight. Want to tell me about your dream? Grandma said we have to move away. She sniffled. She said Daddy's house is too big for us now. My blood ran cold. When did she say that? When she was showing the man my room. She didn't know I was listening. I carried Sawyer back to bed, my mind racing. Once she was asleep, I called the one person who might have answers. Khalil Howard Real Estate. This is Jessica speaking. Hi, I'm calling about a property assessment scheduled for tomorrow. Oh yes, the Morgan listing on Pine Street. Morgan listing, not Russell listing. Could you confirm the appointment time with Mrs. Morgan? I kept my voice steady. She asked me to check. Actually, Mr. Howard is meeting both Mr. and Mrs. Morgan at the property at 2. They're finalizing the listing agreement. I thanked her and hung up, hands shaking. My parents weren't just planning to sell Guillermo's house, they were already in the process. But how? They'd need the missing blue folder, power of attorney documents. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Signal weak. Got your email. What's wrong? G. Before I could reply, I heard the front door open. Mom's voice drifted up the stairs. The kids' rooms need painting before we list, she was saying. Neutral colors sell better. Ruby, shh, Dad hissed. April might hear. Oh, please, she's clueless, Mom scoffed. Just like her brother, too trusting for their own good. I pressed my hand against my mouth, stifling my anger. Through the gap in the office door, I watched them climb the stairs, carrying paint samples and carpet swatches. My phone buzzed again. April, you there? Signal dropping. Call base command if emergency. I typed quickly. They're selling your house. Need proof of power of attorney. Call ASAP. The message failed to send. When I tried again, the number was invalid. Downstairs, the front door opened again. More voices joined my parents. Male voices discussing property values and development potential. Game on, I thought, opening my laptop. Time to find out exactly what they were planning and how to stop it. What do you mean they forged the documents? Thea nearly spilled her wine. I spread the papers across her dining room table. Look at the signature date on the power of attorney. 3 months ago. But here's Guillermo's bank statement from the same day. He was in Georgia for training. Holy shit! Thea leaned closer. And you found this in their car? Mom left her briefcase in the garage while they were painting upstairs. I had 10 minutes. My hands shook as I sorted through the evidence. There's more. They've already accepted an offer from a development company. They're planning to tear down the house and build condos. But why? Your brother's house is paid for, right? That's what I thought. I pulled up an email on my phone. But I found this in Mom's deleted folder. They co-signed on a bad investment last year. Lost everything. They're underwater in their own mortgage. So they're stealing from their own son to fix their mistakes? Thea's face reddened with anger. While he's serving our country? My phone buzzed. Mom again. I ignored it. The worst part, I continued. They've been planning this since before Guillermo's deployment. They needed me there to make it look legitimate, like the family was all on board with the sale. What about the kids? According to these documents, they're planning to move them into their house, paint me as an unstable caretaker if I object. My voice cracked. They've thought of everything. Not everything. Thea grabbed her laptop. I have a friend who works at the county records office. Let's see what else they've been up to. 3 hours and another bottle of wine later, we had a clearer picture. My parents had created a shell company to buy the property. They'd used Mom's maiden name on everything, probably hoping Guillermo wouldn't connect the dots. April, Thea said suddenly. What if Guillermo's deployment isn't real? I stared at her. What? Think about it. Have you actually spoken to him? Seen deployment papers? My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from August's teacher. Is everything okay? He's very upset about moving. I have to get back. I stood up, gathering the documents. The kids! Wait! Thea grabbed my arm. You can't go back there alone. What if they realize you know? They won't. I'm their clueless daughter. Remember? I tried to smile but felt sick. Besides, I need to keep playing along until I can reach Guillermo. Back at the house, I found Mom in the kitchen with the kids. There you are. She smiled too brightly. We were just discussing summer plans. The children are so excited about moving in with us. No, we're not, Sawyer protested. I want to stay in Daddy's house. Now, sweetheart. Mom's voice hardened slightly. We've talked about this. Sometimes we have to make changes. What changes? I interrupted, watching her face carefully. Oh, just general changes. She backpedaled. Growing family, new opportunities. When's Daddy coming home? August asked for the 100th time. Soon, darling. Mom patted his head. Now, who wants ice cream? After the kids were in bed, I sat in Guillermo's office, staring at his deployment photo. Something was off about it. I zoomed in on my phone. The date stamp. It was from his last deployment, 2 years ago. My hands trembling, I called the base command number I'd found earlier. Fort Stewart, Sergeant Phillips speaking. Hi, I'm calling about my brother, Guillermo Russell. He deployed recently. One moment. Keys clicked. No deployment orders for anyone by that name in the last 6 months, ma'am. The room spun. Could you check again? He's supposed to be in pre-deployment training. No training records either. Last activity was an honorable discharge 3 months ago. I hung up, bile rising in my throat. 3 months ago. When the power of attorney was dated, a floorboard creaked behind me. Finding anything interesting? Dad stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. Just missing Guillermo, I lied smoothly. Any word from him? He studied me for a long moment. Your mother thinks we should all have dinner tomorrow. Discuss the future. Sounds great. I forced a smile. I'll bring dessert. After he left, I sent a coded message to Thea. Red alert. G not deployed. Need lawyer ASAP. My phone lit up with an incoming email from Guillermo's account. Help, it read. Can't call. In hospital. Parents took everything. Don't let them sell house. Protect kids. The timestamp was from 10 minutes ago. Another creak in the hallway. Mom's voice, low and urgent. She knows something. I saw her car at the county office building. Then we move faster, Dad replied. Call Khalil. Tell him we close next week. I sat in the dark office, my brother's words burning on the screen, and made a decision. They wanted to play hardball. Game on. The hospital receptionist sighed at my third attempt. I'm sorry, but without knowing which hospital, please, I begged. He's my brother, Guillermo Russell, recently discharged military. Ma'am, I've checked every hospital in a 50-mile radius. I ended the call and slumped in my car, parked outside my parents' house. They were inside with the kids, thinking I was at a work meeting. Instead, I'd spent the morning calling hospitals and Veterans Affairs offices. My phone buzzed. Thea. Lawyer friend can meet today? 2 p.m. A tap on my window made me jump. Khalil, the realtor, stood there smiling. April, right? Your parents mentioned you'd be joining us for the walkthrough. I forced a smile and got out. Actually, I have some questions about the sale. Of course, though your parents handle most of the paperwork as power of attorney. About that, I pulled out my phone. Could you look at something? Before I could show him the forged documents, Mom burst out of the house. April, you're early. She grabbed my arm. Khalil, would you mind giving us a moment? She practically dragged me inside. Dad sat at the kitchen table with papers spread out. Where are the kids? I asked. At the park with the sitter, Mom replied. We need to talk. About what? The fake deployment? The forged documents? Or how about Guillermo being in a hospital somewhere? The color drained from Mom's face. Dad stood up slowly. Who have you been talking to? He demanded. Does it matter? I know what you're doing. We're doing this for the family, Mom insisted. The market's perfect right now. The development deal will set us all up for life. It's not your house to sell. Your brother made some mistakes, Dad cut in. Bad investments, gambling debts. We're protecting his assets before creditors take everything. Liar. I pulled out my phone. I have proof of the forged documents. I'm calling the police. Dad moved faster than I expected, snatching my phone. Sit down, he ordered. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Eugene, Mom protested. She's bluffing. She doesn't have proof. Really? I pulled the papers from my bag. These copies say otherwise. Mom lunged for the documents. I dodged, but Dad blocked the doorway. Think about the kids, Mom pleaded. They need stability. Once the sale goes through, you'll pay off your debts and disappear. I spat, leaving us with nothing. A floorboard creaked upstairs. Mom's eyes widened. The kids are supposed to be at the park, I realized. They heard everything, didn't they? Sawyer! August! Mom called out. Come down, sweeties. No response. I'll check on them. Dad started up the stairs. Don't bother. I pulled out my backup phone, the one Thea had insisted I get. They're not here. While you were watching me, you weren't watching them. What did you do? Mom grabbed my arm. They're safe, with people who actually care about them. I yanked free. Now, about that proof! Dad thundered back down. Their rooms are empty. Call the police, Mom ordered him. She kidnapped them. Go ahead. I held up my phone. I'm recording everything, and in about 10 minutes, my lawyer will be receiving emails with all the evidence, including the conversation we're having right now. You wouldn't, Mom whispered. We're your parents. Parents don't steal from their children. Parents don't forge documents or fake deployments. We had no choice, Dad shouted. The investment. Eugene, shut up! Mom cut him off. No, please continue, said a new voice. Khalil stood in the doorway, his phone also recording. I'd love to hear about the fraudulent sale I was almost part of. Mom crumpled into a chair. Dad's face went purple. I called the police myself, Khalil continued. They're on their way, along with someone from the VA fraud department. How long were you listening? Mom asked weakly. Long enough. He turned to me. The kids? With my friend Thea and her lawyer, safe and sound. Dad made a move toward the back door. Khalil stepped in his way. I wouldn't. Fraud charges are one thing. Fleeing the scene makes it much worse. Sirens wailed in the distance. Mom started to cry. April, please, she begged. We can work something out, as a family. I walked to the door, then turned back. You know what the worst part is? If you'd just asked for help, told us the truth, we would have helped you. Instead, you tried to steal everything from your own son while he's lying in some hospital, unable to defend himself. We never meant, Dad started. Save it for the police. I cut him off. I have a brother to find. As I walked out, I heard Mom collapse into sobs and Dad arguing with Khalil. But all I could think about was Guillermo's email. Help. Can't call. In hospital. I got in my car and called Thea. The kids okay? Perfect. Eating pizza and watching cartoons. What's next? Next? I started the engine. We find my brother. Veterans Affairs Hospital in Atlanta, the nurse confirmed. Your brother was admitted 3 months ago. Motorcycle accident. My knees buckled. Thea grabbed my elbow, steadying me. Why weren't his emergency contacts notified? I demanded. They were. Your parents visited several times in the first month. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. They knew. This whole time, they knew. Would you like his room number? 4 hours later, I stood outside room 412, trying to gather courage. Thea had stayed behind with the kids, sending me with a thermos of coffee and strict instructions to call immediately. I pushed open the door. Guillermo lay in bed, his right leg elevated, scrolling through his phone. His face lit up when he saw me. About time, sis. I rushed to hug him, careful of the tubes and wires. Why didn't you call me? They took my phone, my laptop, said they were handling everything. He grimaced. Told me you were too busy with your career to help. While they tried to sell your house out from under you. Yeah, got your email about that yesterday when they finally brought my stuff back. Had to wait for the nurse to help me access it. He gripped my hand. The kids? Safe, with Thea. Mom and Dad were arrested this morning. He closed his eyes. Damn. I knew they were in financial trouble, but this... How bad is it? I gestured to his leg. 3 more weeks of rehab. Could have been home already if I'd had proper care from the start. His jaw clenched. They pulled me out of the first rehab facility, said it was too expensive, moved me here where they could control everything. Control the story, you mean? They told everyone you were deployed. Classic Ruby and Eugene, he snorted. Always about appearances. A nurse entered with medication. Time for physical therapy, Mr. Russell. Wait. I pulled out my phone. The kids want to say hi. The video call connected. Sawyer's face filled the screen. Daddy! She screamed. August pushed his way into view, both kids talking over each other. Hey, Munchkins. Guillermo's voice cracked. I've missed you so much. Are you coming home? August asked. Soon, buddy. Auntie April's going to help me get better. Promise you won't let Grandma and Grandpa take our house? Sawyer's lower lip trembled. Never, he promised. No one's taking our home. After saying goodbye, I followed Guillermo to physical therapy. He filled me in between exercises. Mom and Dad showed up right after the accident. Said they'd handle everything. Next thing I know, I'm signing papers while high on pain meds. The power of attorney. Must have been. Everything's fuzzy from that time. He winced as the therapist stretched his leg. By the time I realized something was wrong, they had control of everything. My accounts, my phone, even my military benefits. But why keep you here? Why not just forge your signature again? Too risky with the VA involved. Easier to keep me isolated and controlled. He managed a weak smile. They didn't count on my stubborn sister. My phone buzzed. A text from Taya. Police need statement. Parents requesting deal. No deals, Guillermo said, reading over my shoulder. They need to face consequences. The detective mentioned fraud charges, elder abuse, possibly federal charges for the VA fraud. Good. He gripped the parallel bars, taking tentative steps. You know what hurts most? They used you. Used the kids, their own family. Speaking of family, I showed him the real estate documents. Want to guess who the development company belongs to? No way. Uncle Robert, Mom's brother. The whole thing was a family scam. Guillermo stumbled. The therapist caught him. That's enough for today, she said firmly. Back in his room, I helped him settle in. 3 weeks? I asked. Give or take. Doctor says I'm healing well, just needed proper care all along. I'll get the house ready. The kids can't wait to have you home. April! He caught my hand. Thank you. For everything. That's what family's supposed to do. Actually, help each other. My phone buzzed again. The detective. Parents requesting meeting with children. How do you want to proceed? I showed Guillermo the message. Your call, he said. You're their guardian until I'm back. No, I replied to the message. No contact until court proceedings complete. They're going to lose everything, Guillermo mused. The house, their reputation, probably their freedom. They lost something way more valuable already, I said, putting my phone away. They lost us. He nodded, then grinned suddenly. Hey, since you're handling things, there's this nurse, Maria. She's been really kind. Maybe you could... One family drama at a time. Big brother. I laughed for the first time in weeks. One drama at a time. They want to what? I nearly dropped my coffee cup. The kids looked up from their breakfast, startled. Your parents are requesting a plea deal? Our lawyer, Marcus, repeated over the phone. They want to meet with you and Guillermo first, today. Absolutely not. Actually, he paused, this could work in our favor. They don't know Guillermo's being discharged this afternoon. I glanced at the calendar. 3 weeks had flown by, filled with hospital visits, lawyer meetings, and helping the kids process everything. What's the catch? I asked. No catch. They think they're negotiating from a position of strength. Let them believe that. 2 hours later, I sat in a conference room at the police station. Mom and Dad looked smaller somehow, their designer clothes replaced by department store basics. April. Mom reached for my hand. I pulled back. Don't, I warned. Just tell me why we're here. We want to make this right, Dad said. We've prepared a full confession, but we'd like to handle this privately. Keep it in the family. Family? I laughed bitterly. You mean like how you handled Guillermo's accident? Or selling his house while he was recovering? We were desperate. Mom's voice cracked. The investment scheme. We lost everything. Your Uncle Robert promised this development deal would fix everything. By stealing from your own son? We would have paid him back, Dad insisted, once the condos were built. The conference room door opened. Mom's words died in her throat. Guillermo stood there, leaning on a cane but very much alive and present. The color drained from my parents' faces. Hey, Mom. Dad, he said coldly. Miss me? But you're in Atlanta, Mom stammered. Was in Atlanta, until my sister found me. You know, the daughter you called clueless? Dad started to stand. Son, we can explain. Sit down. Guillermo's voice could have frozen hell. You've done enough talking. Now you're going to listen. He limped to the table, dropping a thick folder between them. Complete records of everything. The forged documents, the fake deployment papers, the hospital transfer you arranged to isolate me, even the kickback arrangement with Uncle Robert. Mom began to cry. Dad stared at the table. We have two options, Guillermo continued. Option 1, we proceed with all charges. Fraud, elder abuse, conspiracy, federal charges for the VA fraud, looking at 15 to 20 years each. Please, Mom whispered. We're your parents. Option 2, he ignored her. You sign over everything. Your house, your assets, your shares in Uncle Robert's company. All of it goes to a trust for the kids. You can't, Dad started. I can and I will. You tried to steal my children's future. Now you'll guarantee it. We'll be left with nothing, Mom protested. Like you plan to leave us? I cut in. Karma's funny that way. Guillermo slid another document across the table. Full confession and asset transfer. Sign now or we walk out that door and let the prosecutors handle it. You wouldn't, Dad challenged. Try me. Guillermo's voice was steel. You have 30 seconds. Mom grabbed the pen first, hands shaking as she signed. Dad hesitated longer but followed suit when Guillermo stood to leave. One more thing, I added. You don't contact us. Ever. No calls, no letters, no surprise visits. The kids are off limits. They're our grandchildren, Mom cried. Should have thought of that before using them as pawns. I stood up. Goodbye, Mom, Dad. Outside, Guillermo sagged against the wall. You okay? I steadied him. Better than okay. Free. He managed a smile. Ready to see the kids. They've got a surprise for you at home. The surprise turned out to be a Welcome Home Daddy banner, slightly crooked and covered in glitter. Sawyer and August launched themselves at Guillermo the moment we walked in. Careful of his leg, I cautioned, but he was already on the floor with them, hugging them tight. Daddy, look! August pointed to the window. We planted flowers, and I kept your room clean, Sawyer added proudly. Auntie April helped. Speaking of help, Thea appeared from the kitchen with Maria, the nurse from the hospital. Dinner's ready. You invited Maria? Guillermo whispered to me, straightening his shirt. She helped me coordinate your discharge. Seemed only fair to include her in the celebration. Later, after the kids were in bed and Maria had left, with Guillermo's phone number, Tia raised her glass. To family, she toasted. The real kind. To Karma, I added. To my sister, Guillermo finished. The best kind of family anyone could ask for. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Papers filed. Parents' assets transferred. It's done. I deleted the message without responding. Some chapters needed to stay closed. Hey! Guillermo nudged me. Stop thinking so hard. We won. He was right. We had won. But more importantly, we had survived together, and that was worth more than any house or money our parents could have stolen. You're doing what? Guillermo nearly choked on his coffee. Starting a consulting business, I repeated, spreading brochures across his kitchen table. Helping people protect themselves from financial fraud and family scams. 6 months had passed since our parents' downfall. Guillermo was walking without a cane. The kids were thriving, and I'd discovered my calling. Using your experience to help others, Maria chimed in, setting down a plate of pancakes. She practically lived here now. Not that anyone was complaining. It's brilliant. It's more than that. I pulled up my laptop. Look at these statistics. Elder fraud, family financial abuse, real estate scams. They're all increasing. People need someone who understands both sides. Both sides? Guillermo raised an eyebrow. The legal side and the emotional side. Most victims don't come forward because they're ashamed, because it's family. Sawyer wandered in, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Are you leaving us, Auntie April? Never, sweetie. I pulled her into my lap. But remember how some bad people tried to take Daddy's house? She nodded solemnly. Well, I'm going to help other families make sure that doesn't happen to them. Like a superhero. August appeared, his hair sticking up in all directions. Exactly like a superhero. Maria winked at me. Your aunt's going to save people. My phone buzzed. Thea. Meeting set with investors. They love the concept. Speaking of saving people, Guillermo said once the kids were occupied with breakfast. Did you see the news about Uncle Robert? I pulled up the article. The development company had collapsed, taking several investors down with it, including our parents' remaining assets. Karma's still working overtime, I mused. Ms. April? Our new nanny, Rachel, poked her head in. Your first client is here. I straightened my jacket and grabbed my briefcase. The elderly woman waiting in the living room clutched a familiar-looking folder. Thank you for seeing me. She twisted her hands. My son. He's trying to sell my house. Says it's for my own good, but something feels wrong. You're safe here. I sat beside her. Tell me everything. 2 hours later, I had a new client and a clear case of attempted fraud. As I walked her to her car, Thea pulled up. Ready for lunch? We need to prep for the investors. Actually, I gestured to my notes. I need a favor. Could you look into a property transfer in progress? Something's fishy. Already working on another case? She grinned. You're a natural. Back inside, Guillermo was helping the kids with an art project, while Maria prepared lunch. Your mother called the landline, he said quietly. My stomach clenched. What did she want? To apologize. Said she's in therapy, wants to make amends. And I told her we'd consider it. In about 20 years. I hugged him, paint from his shirt smearing on my blazer. You're getting soft, big brother. Nah, he smiled. Just happy, really happy. My phone buzzed again. A text from Marcus. Got another referral for you. Family trust dispute. Interested? Very, I replied. Auntie April, Sawyer called. Come see our painting. The kids had created a chaotic masterpiece, a family portrait. There was Guillermo, Maria, the kids, me, Thea, even Rachel. No sign of grandparents. It's our real family, August explained proudly. The ones who love us for real, Sawyer added. Maria wiped a tear, and even Guillermo looked emotional. Perfect timing. Thea walked in. Your investor meeting just got moved up. They want to fast-track the funding. Go, Guillermo urged. We've got this covered. But, April, Maria cut in, you helped save this family. Now go help save others. I grabbed my things, hugging everyone goodbye. At the door, I paused to look back at my chosen family. Guillermo and Maria helping with homework, the kids arguing over crayons. They are already on the phone chasing leads. My phone lit up with another message, an unknown number. We're sorry. Please let us see the kids. Mom. I blocked the number without hesitation. Some bridges needed to stay burned. Ready? Thea called from her car. Ready? I joined her, pulling out my presentation. Let's go help some families. You know, she said as we drove, most people would have crumbled after what your parents did. Instead, you turned it into a mission. That's the thing about betrayal, I replied, watching the city scroll past. It either breaks you, or it builds you into something stronger. And which are you? I thought about the family we'd built from the ashes of betrayal, about the clients waiting for help, about the strength that comes from choosing love over blood. Definitely stronger, I smiled. Definitely built. And that's why we never trust someone just because they're family, I concluded, facing the packed conference room. Trust is earned, not inherited. The audience applauded. As people filed out, a young woman lingered, clutching a notebook. Ms. April? Her hands trembled. Your story. It's happening to me right now. Before I could respond, Thea appeared at my elbow. Your brother's calling, says it's urgent. Give me 1 minute, I told her, then turned back to the woman. Come to my office tomorrow. First consultation is free. Racing to my car, I called Guillermo back. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, he laughed, but you need to get home. Now. I broke several speed limits getting to his house. The driveway was packed with cars, including Thea's, which I'd just left at the conference center. How had she beaten me here? The front door burst open before I could knock. Sawyer grabbed my hand, practically vibrating with excitement. You're finally here! Come on! Inside, the house was full of people. Clients I'd helped, families we'd protected, friends we'd made along the way. Maria stood by the fireplace, beaming. Guillermo had his arm around her, both dressed up more than usual. What's going on? You've been so busy saving everyone else, Guillermo said. You forgot what day it is. I blinked. Tuesday? It's exactly 1 year since you found me in that hospital. He squeezed Maria's hand. 1 year since you saved our family. We couldn't let it pass without celebrating, Maria added. August appeared, carrying a large scrapbook. Look what we made! The book was filled with letters, photos, and newspaper clippings. Stories of families I'd helped, homes I'd saved, scams I'd stopped. In the center was the kid's family portrait, now professionally framed. But that's not all. Thea stepped forward. Tell her, Guillermo. My brother cleared his throat. Remember Mom and Dad's house? The one they signed over? I nodded. Well, we're turning it into a shelter for families escaping financial abuse. Maria's running it, and your company will provide free consulting services. The ultimate karma. Thea grinned, using their house to help the people they tried to hurt. A small commotion at the door drew our attention. Marcus entered with an elderly couple, my first clients. We had to come. The woman hugged me. You saved our retirement, our home. Now we volunteer at the senior center, warning others about scams. More stories poured in. The single mom who almost lost her inheritance, the grandfather whose children tried to steal his business, the widow who nearly fell for a real estate scheme. All here, all safe, all stronger. Speech! Someone called out. I looked around at these faces, survivors, fighters, family by choice rather than blood. A year ago, I began, I thought family meant obligation, meant letting people hurt you because you shared DNA. I was wrong. Guillermo squeezed my shoulder. Family is what we build, not what we're born into. It's the choices we make, the trust we earn, the love we choose to give and receive. And the pancakes we make, August interrupted, making everyone laugh. Yes, buddy, especially the pancakes. I ruffled his hair. But you know what the best part is? What? Sawyer asked. That sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our best selves. My parents thought they were destroying us. Instead, they made us unbreakable. Maria raised her glass. To being unbreakable. As everyone toasted, my phone buzzed. A news alert. Local investment firm indicted for fraud. Robert Morgan faces federal charges. I showed Guillermo the headline. Should we send Mom and Dad a copy? He asked dryly. No need. I slipped the phone away. They'll see it from their new apartment above the discount store. Auntie April! Sawyer tugged my sleeve. Maria says she has a surprise. Maria stepped forward, glowing. Well, since everyone's here, Guillermo and I are having a baby. The room erupted in cheers. As everyone congratulated them, I watched my niece and nephew dance around, already celebrating their future sibling. You okay? Thea appeared beside me. Better than okay, I smiled. We won. Really won. Not just won, she corrected. You turned winning into helping others win, too. The party continued into the evening. Stories were shared, plans were made, bonds were strengthened. Not once did anyone mention our parents or the past they'd tried to steal, because that's the thing about family, real family. It's not about who shares your past. It's about who helps you build your future. And our future, it was absolutely unbreakable.